Hello. The topic of Chapter 13 is domestic and economic policy, so please make sure you read the chapter carefully before attempting to respond to the written question for the week. I do want to talk about one issue that's discussed in Chapter 13, and that is the topic of immigration. Immigration has become a very contentious issue in the United States in recent years. There's been a lot of discussion in Congress and with various presidents, President George W. Bush, President Barack Obama, and President Donald Trump have all taken on the issue of immigration in different ways. Both President Obama and President Bush were more in favor of making it easier for people to become legal citizens of the United States, whereas President Trump has focused on limiting immigration into the United States and in some cases trying to stop it altogether. And so they have different priorities. President Bush and President Obama were one's a Republican, one's a Democrat, and of course President Trump is a Republican. So the parties do have different philosophies, although it's also an individual issue that's between, say, President Trump and the policies adopted or promoted by President Obama and President Bush. Now, the question of immigration is focused on legal status of people who are here in the United States. Most immigrants who are here are documented. Either they at one point came from another place and became a U.S. citizen, a naturalized citizen, or they have what some people call a green card that allows them to live and work in the United States legally. There are certainly many people, approximately 10 to 11 million people in the United States who live here without proper documentation, and we refer to them as undocumented immigrants. Most of them, or certainly a large number of them, originally came to the United States legally through the proper process, but at some point their visas or their documentation expired and they were not able to get it renewed for whatever reason, or there was a backlog, and so they stayed in the country without the documents that they needed. The vast majority of undocumented immigrants do follow the laws of the country, pay taxes, and work. The one thing they are not allowed to do is receive any kind of federal benefit. So they don't receive Social Security, they don't receive unemployment benefits, they don't receive welfare benefits, or any of the other programs that are funded by the federal government. So that there is a myth sometimes that they are drawing on federal benefits, and the fact is they are not. The only people who are allowed to get any kind of benefit from the federal government are people who are here legally or who are citizens. So that's something to be aware of as you think about this debate. But certainly there are reasons why people might have expired documentation. And the question is, do we find a way to help them stay here legally, or do we deport them? Certainly President Trump's philosophy is that those people who are here in an undocumented way should be sent back to the countries they came from. But the other side would argue that many of them have been here for most of their lives, or a large percentage of their lives, and should not be forced to go back to a country they don't know very well. And in many cases, it might be a country they fled because they were trying to escape persecution or something else. And so there is an ongoing debate about how to handle that, about how to possibly create a path to citizenship for people who are not legally. The reality is that's probably not going to happen during the Trump administration, just because of his philosophy about immigration, but it is an ongoing discussion. Another thing that President Trump frequently brings up and has been part of this discussion is whether our border with Mexico, the southern border of the United States, is secure enough, since a large number of people who come into the country are coming through that border, either from Central America through Mexico to the United States, or directly from Mexico into the United States. And of course, particularly the ones who come from Central America are coming here because a lot of them are fleeing persecution or very unhealthy situations in their home countries. When somebody arrives in the United States fleeing persecution in another country, we refer to them as a refugee. They are seeking asylum status. Under existing U.S. law, people do have a right to ask for asylum in the United States, but the Trump administration has taken a policy that in most cases we should not take them into the United States while they're seeking asylum. And there's an argument that they may be dangerous. Although I will point out that, again, people coming from other countries usually are coming here because there was something in their home country that was making their life uncomfortable or possibly unsafe. And so it's not likely that they're coming here to cause damage or harm to the United States. In any event, it is an ongoing debate whether we should spend more money to secure our border and what kind of security we should have at the border, whether it should be a wall, a fence, or some other kind of technology that could be used to ensure a secure border. Certainly, I think the border has been made very secure over the years. And of course, President Trump argued in his campaign for a wall with Mexico, which he did say that Mexico would pay for. It's becoming fairly clear that Mexico is not going to pay for the wall that he proposed. And the question is, will Congress at some point decide to appropriate money for it? Thus far, they have not. And so that's kind of an ongoing source of tension between President Trump and Congress. So in any event, I just wanted to give you some background on the topic of immigration. And if you have any questions, please email me or call my office. And make sure you read any question carefully before you answer it, so that particularly if it offers background on the topic, that you should include in your assignment. So have a great week. Thank you.